Another week, another home defeat. Just how bad has it got right now for the mighty Spurs? All that and more on today's Crowing Cockerel podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Crowing Cockerel podcast. I'm Graham. I'm here with Mark. Hello, Mark.
How are we doing, chaps?
And Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hello, boys. How are we getting on?
Yeah, not bad. Have you had your email yet from Thomas Frank confirming the classification of fan that you are?
No, I'm waiting. I don't think I am a true fan because I don't pay enough, obviously.
But do you boo in the right places? That's the critical question at the moment.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it's got toxic quick, hasn't it?
It's civil war. It's absolute civil war. I mean, even the players are coming out with different messages, aren't they? So we'll get into our opinions on, the rights and wrongs of what happened. But I think we're also going to talk about quite a lot about how bad are things in reality. How concerned do we need to be? So we came out of Paris losing 5-3, and the performance was generally seen as a decent performance. Massive red flags for me in that is that we're all celebrating getting beaten 5-3.
Yeah.
It was better. It wasn't quite as embarrassing as we thought it might be. And then we go into a massive game against Fulham expecting us to be better. And within 6 minutes, we're 2-0 down. And the place had completely turned toxic. So, yeah, where are we at with everything, guys?
I'm really struggling to find the positives because, like you say, Graham, I can't remember the last time I was that pleased with a defeat after the PSG game, and that really is a worry. And also, I was trying to sort of make some sort of argument for the goals we conceded. Against PSG, we were in the game, took the lead. It felt like we were really putting it to them, and I felt like the last few goals we conceded were just mistakes. They were mistakes by individual players that allowed them to get in. And PSG, you give them that sort of space and time, and you open the door for them. They've got such good players; they will take their chances. But I still felt like that was off the back of a genuinely good performance. And that errors like that, you can iron them out. Whereas you then move to the Fulham game, and it was absolute chaos in those first few moments. They just didn't look like they knew what they were doing. For me, it was really clear. I was calling their first goal as we lost the ball on the halfway line. I thought, yep, this I can see this being a goal. We looked all over the shop. I think the confidence is shot. This mixed messaging we're getting from the players and then from Frank, it just feels really unsettled. And for all of us hope and desire that Frank was changing things up and we might look a little more attacking, the one thing that we seem to have done is completely abandon any sort of defensive qualities at all. So
we just can't seem to be able to defend the corner, the edge of our box at all. Fulham's goal, okay, it was a deflection, but he still had loads of space on that sector because at this time Udogie was too deep and couldn't get out to him. It's really concerning because there isn't really anything that's working, is there, at all? That we can't defend, we can't attack, we can't fight because there isn't enough togetherness to do it. Yeah, really concerning.
So I've got a bit of a different take on it. And obviously, there's been a lot written and a lot said over the last couple of days. And I can't find anybody that has the same opinion as me. But I'm going to give it anyway.
Here we go.
That's why we're here.
I would say, as I sit here, having watched those two games, I am the most optimistic, enthusiastic, and energized about our prospects this season.
Okay.
I'm just going to let that just sink in a little bit.
Right. Okay. So I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, this is what I was going to ask. Is there any shred of that statement that bears any resemblance to what you're thinking? Right? Because I've got three reasons for what I've just said. But before I give any of those reasons.
Okay. Kolo Muani looks decent.
Yeah, I was
Absolutely
gonna
gonna. I was gonna
absolutely.
put my hat on that. And Bergvall looks like he can play football. I'm struggling with the third, if I'm honest.
Well, to be honest, so the individuals were one of my points. I've got two other points as well. So I will make a caveat to that statement before I start. The rest of the season has been shocking, absolutely abysmal. So for me to be more optimistic than the rest of the season, it's a very low bar. Okay, I will say that. But the statement still stands true. I do believe after those two games, there are signs of just those green little shoots of recovery just popping through. And here are my three reasons. Number one of the things we've always done on this pod is look beyond the result. We did it at the start of the season when results were good and we were near the top of the league. Week after week, we sat on here and we said, it's not going to last. The way we are playing, these results are not going to last. And we look beyond the result. And I want us to do the same now. And I understand that it's a results game and everything. And of course, the results need to improve. But for me, if you think about all the things we've been talking about the last few weeks, we've been saying things like we want to see more positive intent. We want to see a mentality. We want to see us play football. I've been sitting here saying Spurs don't want to play football. We just want to spoil games and things like that. Those last two games, it's the first time I've seen probably all season where we've actually looked like we want to play football, where we've actually looked like we want to go forward and try and knit things together, not just be content to give up territory, give up possession. And we've been putting an aggressive press on. We've been actually trying to harry the defenders and we've been putting balls into the box. It actually looks like we want to play football. Now, obviously, we lost both games. And so the result of that effort and that intent wasn't there. But at least the intent was there. At least it looked like we wanted to go out and take the game to the opposition. So that's my first reason. What do you think about that?
I don't think you're wrong. I think quite clearly, and especially after the PSG game, we were saying that should be the blueprint now going forward. We should be looking to play with more endeavour, with potentially that sort of rotating two up front with Richie and Colomwani. I've got to agree. I think Colomwani looks like there's a really good player in there. I thought he was very unlucky not to equalise against Fulham. I think there are players that we can rotate in and out of that system as well. Although I've got a bugbear about over rotation as it is, but
Well, that might be my second point.
but yeah, I can see that where that works. My counter argument to it is that at the minute we don't seem to have the confidence or and maybe this is to your point because we haven't played enough of that forward thinking football.
We didn't have a shot, a single successful cross until after half time. So there was nothing there. And the number of crosses that were put in, we got in good crossing positions, didn't win any of them. And I know why we didn't win any of them, because Fulham was sitting back and they were filling their box. And it takes us so long to get it into a position where somebody can cross. And, Kudus' goal, fantastic. It's another worldie of a goal. But at the end of the day, that wasn't a good chance that was created. Fantastic, bit of vision by Bergvall. It's amazing what you can achieve when you try and do something quickly. But he still had to volley it in from an impossible angle into the top corner. Porro was putting decent balls in. Richarlison was getting nowhere near it. We don't do anything through the middle of the pitch. We don't do anything on the transition at all. Second half, there was a lot more energy and drive to get near the ball. But the tactics we weren't doing anything that a reasonable championship team can't do. There's no complexity in it.
But we haven't even been doing that. That's what I say. Like I say,
Well, that's
the bar is very low.
Yeah.
But we haven't been getting balls into the box. We haven't been doing any sort of pressing. There's literally been nothing.
I think we've got to be really careful. But and you did rightly say and caveat it with we're starting from a really low bar. But the bar is so low, I cannot get excited about what the last two games have given us at
It
all.
it is. I think my point is that it feels to me like the curve has just started to come back up again. That it is not, because, as I say, the general opinion is complete doom and gloom that the last 2 weeks is a continuation of the terrible, terrible season. And you look at the results, and on the face of it, you're absolutely right. And you look at the stats and everything around it. But my point is that after that Arsenal game, it feels like that was rock bottom, and actually just slightly, these past two games have been better and they have shown that intent. And if we can continue to do that, as Tom said, if we can be consistent and gain some familiarity about playing that way, it feels like we're on a better path than what we were after the Arsenal game.
I like the way you're thinking, Mark, and I wish I could think the same way. And we've always said it's the hope that kills you. I think my main issue with it is that the one thing that you thought you were getting from Frank in any of those circumstances is that, well, he'll keep us tight at the back, the clean sheet mentality. And we wanted to see that new approach coming in with that as a basis, understanding that that was the basis. But we can't, it feels like that we're not even doing that bit well now. So we're not doing the new bit well. We're not doing the old bit well. It's all a bit of a mess.
But even that you could spin, because I'm in a bit of a spinny mood tonight.
Obviously.
Individual mistakes, and you said it yourself, Tom, individual mistakes can happen. The bigger worry, as Graham said, is this whole edge of the box thing. That to me is a huge concern, because it's now so many goals we've conceded. I mean, just in the last 3 games alone, we've conceded so many goals from that exact area. And then you could even go back further to like Aston Villa and other games, where we clearly go far too deep into our box, all in a one flat line, and we then can't get out in that area. So that's a problem. But just to go back to my 3 points. So the second point was just, again, Tom, you've been very vocal about this kind of over rotation. You've been quite critical of that over rotation, and I just wanted to point out that the two up front and the fact that Richie and Kolomwani played up front as a partnership against PSG, I thought they were excellent in that game. And Thomas Frank decided to stick with it against Fulham. He also played Bergvall and Archie Gray as well for both games, and I think they also were very good, especially in the PSG game. They combined well together.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, that might all change come Newcastle. I don't know, but it at least showed a little bit of consistency in the approach. Again, both tactically and in terms of the players that we use, there was a little bit of consistency in there, so that again, we can try and gain some of that familiarity, try and bed in some of those patterns that we're trying to do. It just felt like Arsenal, like I say, rock bottom, right, clean sheet. We're going to try something. And he did try something the same way for 2 consecutive games, which he hasn't done all season. So again, it felt like that was another potential positive. Now, we'll see what happens in the next game as to whether that continues. But at least for these 2 games this week, that felt like something to grasp hold of.
And you're absolutely right. It matters how he then starts the game against Newcastle. It's an away game, which we tend to do better away. The worry is then, because I see where you're going with this with Mark, and I'm almost on board.
I see. I can see you're getting swayed. I can see it. I'm not sure Graham is, but I'm working on you first, Tom.
But my worry is that this would have burnt him. The Arsenal game was rock bottom. He tried that against PSG. There was buds of positivity to maybe try and foster there, and then against Fulham, obviously it wasn't so great. If this is the necessary evil we need to move through to get to a point where Thomas Frank is actually playing football that we can watch without having to hang our heads in shame, then it might be worth the pain.
Maybe.
I'm saving up what I want to say to this. But what's your point 3?
Well, point 3 is what you've already mentioned, the fact that some positive individual performances. So Kolomwani looks like he is getting back to full fitness, as you said. He looked like a proper handful in both games. Obviously, got off the mark with his goals and assists. Bergval, another one who, he's all of one of our favourites. Again, just provides that little bit of spark. He makes those runs beyond the lines, starts turning defenders round. So a real positive. And again, Van de Ven once again just
Oh,
showing what an absolute legend he is. I mean, you don't want him to be doing that. That really did remind me of Ange. I was very worried about his hamstrings in that Fulham game, but again, just showed what an absolute colossus he is for us. And it just goes to prove, that we have got good players. And I do think we'll get there.
And I want to make this point. You said, like, rightly, that there's green shoots that you can cling on to, and we need to go through the pain, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this squad is a top 4 squad. I
No,
don't think
I
it's
don't.
as good as Arsenal's. I don't think it's good as Chelsea's. I don't think it's good as Liverpool's or City's.
yeah.
Yeah. I do think that for some reason, we've all been made to believe that these players are rubbish, and he's allowed to lose lots of games because he's going to have to coach them all to be fantastic. I really, really, really don't see how Thomas Frankie's getting that as a starting point. And I am actually really quite disappointed that his justification is the league position from last year,
Yeah.
because he didn't inherit a 17th place squad. And also, I would suggest that our summer transfer business was pretty reasonable
Yeah.
in terms of improving that squad. And despite the injuries that we had, as I said on the previous pod, I think he's got an awful lot more than the previous coach had to backfill.
Yeah.
So he has got injuries, but he's got a better squad than Ange had as well. So I'm really concerned that we seem to be a little bit being gaslit in terms of, well, you're 17th, we've got to start again. We were so poor defensively. Well, our record actually with Van de Ven and Romero in the back line wasn't ever that poor. We were actually pretty strong defensively, even with gung-ho tactics with Van de Ven and Romero as a centre-back partnership. So again, and they've played most of this season. So the reason I think we're conceding a lot more goals is because we give up a lot more territory, and we let teams play in our half, and we let balls go into our box, and we let players shoot from the edge of the box. If yes, you might concede if you're playing a really high line every now and again from a counter attack, and if you don't manage the game properly, that can make you look really stupid because it can happen 2 or 3 times in a game. But at the end of the day, I respect what you're trying to do, Mark, and I've always felt I'm reasonably positive, but I think it's the rhetoric and this just accept that we're not very good, but we'll try and get better. And the players aren't very good. Well, I'm sorry. We all know what happens to Spurs players when they get transferred elsewhere. They go and win trophies. The players might not be fantastic, well-beaten players, but at the end of the day, they are decent top half Premier League players, every single one of them, I'd suggest. And we've talked about who should be playing where, but my goodness, I cannot believe we cannot find a coach that can put a run of results together that don't make us look like we're looking at the moment, because this is bad. This is
Yeah.
shocking.
And kudos to you, Mark, for trying to find the positives. I think the biggest issue for me is that consistent lack of performance. And when you chop and change things, the one thing I've been reading a lot about it over the last couple of weeks is how Frank likes to set up his team for the opposition, right? As infuriating as it might be to have over rotation in a team, over rotation of a tactic and a way of playing and a style of playing because you're playing a different opponent. I respect anybody, and we know Frank did it at Brentford, but he hasn't been able to do that for whatever reason with this group of players. And the one way you could find that consistency is to lessen that rotation, stick to a system, give the players the confidence to play them in the positions they want to play and play in a way that they're comfortable playing, so that at least some of that confidence comes back. Again, some of that familiarity comes back with the partnerships and the shape that the team is playing. I am definitely not a Frank out guy. I think I've said that a couple of times over the last few recent pods, but I will say this: the fact that we can't defend, even though that was his forte, the fact that our attacking, although it has improved a bit, still looks a little haphazard. That the players are not familiar with that shape. I think the club need to give Frank 3, maybe 4 games to see where we're at come Christmas. I was looking at the fixture list. I could see us not winning in December. Given the results that we've had, I could see us not winning in December. And if that's the case, I will be saying Frank out come Christmas time.
And let's be honest, the fixtures in December, yes, we've got Liverpool in there, but actually they're not fixtures that we've just had.
The trouble is, though, is that when you have a home record like ours, you then look at all the home games that we've got and you think, well, if we didn't beat Fulham and we didn't beat Wolves and we
That's
didn't
right,
beat
yeah.
Bournemouth,
But it's a
how are
terrible
we going to
situation.
beat this, that?
Mm.
So then, and then you're not really expected to win many of your away games anyway. So exactly as I agree, Tom. I had the same thing. I look at the fixture list and it's like, where are the points coming from? But it's got to change because to all of your points, we are a good team. We've got good players. And I just think if we can just carry on implementing some of what we've seen this week, the other team cannot score if we've got the ball. So let's get the ball. Let's stop giving up so much territory. Let's play more football and let those players play. And don't worry about who the opposition are. They should be worried about us.
Yeah.
And I think
that isn't the case. Yeah.
and I think that's the problem, isn't it? That and it does still feel like there's still that sort of Brentford mentality of, right, okay, we need to really cater everything for who we're playing. Got good players. Just let them play. And like I say, I do think that is what happened more than I've seen in any other week this week, which is why I've been saying what I've saying. But I do agree. The stuff has to change and it has to change quick.
And I think we need to move on and talk about the fans,
Yes.
because ultimately there's been huge amounts going around, and I just want to know your opinion, because I've got my own, around what happened after Vicario made that mistake. So he made the mistake, he messed up, he then got roundly booed, and then the focus was on him and he was booed a number of times. So it wasn't at the team, it was particularly at Vicario. We do have a little bit of history with this. Something similar happened with Sanchez when he, played poorly, and I think he was sort of affected by that. And also, Kieran Trippier got pelters when we were at Wembley, and in the end moved before it came out that he'd been playing with an injury all season because we had no cover. So, what's your opinion around fans' reactions to Vicario and being that focused on him? Do you think they have a right? And do you think Thomas Frank was right to basically give everyone a damn good telling off?
I think it's bang out of order, personally. And I support Thomas Frank in what he said.
Tell you what, we are at loggerheads tonight because I disagree. Because this is our home stadium. We've just been talking about it. We've been watching really, really poor results week after week at home. Going back, not just under Frank, before that. Do I like? Am I happy that a section of the crowd decided they wanted to specifically boo Vicario? Absolutely not. The fans that are there every week, the fans that have paid their money. There was some chat on one of the forums. The amount of times, the cost of the ticket, of the concessions and the food and drinks and of the travel, of the time that people invested, and then they come and see that, and that is what they're getting week after week after week. It's incremental, and it's unfortunate. If that was the first game of the season, they wouldn't have booed. So let's put it into context. It's not nice, it's not pleasant, and we don't like it. But do they deserve chewing out over it? No, I don't think so. I think they've got every right. If they want, they can boo every single player on the pitch. Because if they're not putting the performance in, if that is what we're accepting as fans, then we might as well all just chuck it in. And I wasn't pleased.
I don't think it's about accepting it as fans. I don't think that's the point at all. I think the thing about being in a football stadium and the thing about being a supporter is that you have a responsibility as much as the team to try with what you do to make things as positive as you can. Booing Vicario does nothing to help that situation. And I understand and I agree 100% it's because of everything that's gone on this season. There's the frustration. And it was a crazy decision, right? But my point is that it doesn't help. What's that going to do? You're booing your goalkeeper. So now your goalkeeper is under pressure every time that ball goes anywhere near him. And that's my problem. Boo at half time at the team, boo at full time, express your displeasure that way. Do not boo an individual player during the game. To me, no, they crossed a line.
I'm with Tom on some of his points, and I'll explain why. But the Vicario, in particular incident, is an absolute no for me. I do not agree. Everybody makes a mistake. It is not like he had been doing that all game, and we were giving a loads of chance away because he kept making the same mistake. He messed up. He absolutely messed up. Actually, if you look at the goal, you could argue, well, what were the defenders doing? Not backtracking onto the goal line. And
it was a good finish. Let's be honest. It was a good finish.
Yeah. But I think sometimes his reaction, and he waves his arms around and he balls out, but you don't know what he's actually saying. But my problem with it is that you can sort of boo generally the fact that you're 2-0 down after 6 minutes. I don't have a problem with the initial howling and boo. It was the secondary thing of absolutely focusing on Vicario and booing him when he had the ball. That to me is disgusting. I'll be that thing because he plays for our club. He's not perfect, but at the end of the day, we all cheer when he makes a brilliant save. So we all thank him when he stops shots against Everton, and then we win 3-0. I'm totally understanding of howling boos at full time with poor performances. Okay. And, because Tom, you've already mentioned it a little bit. We're talking about people that have spent £2,500 on a season ticket that only gets you league games, by the way. It doesn't get you cup games. You've got to pay extra for those. And they have seen 3 wins in 20 odd home games. So they have paid £700 per win for basically a standard season ticket if you're in the West Stand. So it's just not okay. If that was a theatre performance, you would be wanting a refund. You just wouldn't accept it. If it's like the mic and the sound being rubbish at a pop concert, isn't it? And you can't hear anything.
If I was in that theatre, I would boo them. I'd boo them all.
Yeah. I mean,
look, I know what you're saying,
but you wouldn't do it during the performance.
Well, it depends how bad they are. Look, I get what you guys are saying, and what you can sense from the ground now and the stands is that it's getting desperate.
The other side of this as well, and you mentioned it, Graham. What's your opinion on both Thomas Frank's response, but also, as you said, Porro's put a response out. I think Vicario put a response out as well, but certainly Porro in particular and Frank kind of saying, I think that is not okay.
I think the most problematic one of the lot is Porro's. I think Thomas Frank, because it was done in an interview, there's some context to how that's said. And if you actually just watch the interview, he actually says in full around he didn't think it was acceptable. Thinks it's, he expects disappointment, but that isn't acceptable. I think what Porro's mistakenly done is he's started a battle. He's basically said, you're not real fans if you've done that. And you've disrespected my friend and all this sort of stuff. And I think the problem is you cannot win that fight. He's taking on a battle. He cannot win. And all it's going to do
one mistake is all it's going to take.
Absolutely. And he doesn't always get a lot of support because he does make mistakes, because he tries things. I just don't think at the moment, I don't know how they're going to resolve this.
I definitely wasn't booing Vicario. I was really frustrated, obviously, as everybody else was. Muchos respect for him coming out afterwards and doing the interviews.
And why is he? I don't understand why he is. Why?
He often
Honestly,
does, doesn't he? He often
yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Every week he comes out, doesn't he? I mean, he's part of the leadership group, isn't he, I suppose? But
I wouldn't be surprised if he said, I'm going out there. Because Thomas Frank was saying he never gets too high, he never gets too low. He's very, very level-headed. He deals with these things in a very professional manner. And I hope because of that, he can find his feet again, and the fans can get behind him. I hope that his character is strong enough for that. He's definitely had some wobbles in the past, but I think that the lid came off the pressure cooker. I think that's what it was, and you can't deny the fans their sort of outlet of frustration, given what they've had to been put through over the last few months, and specifically given the situation in the game.
this is only a problem because it's an incremental issue that's been going on all year. You win 5 games, and especially the league table where it is so tight. We win 5 games, we'll be in the top 4. And all this goes away. But if we don't, if we keep on losing, then that pressure cooker will just continue until it will explode.
How about we have a bit of a Tom's teaser?
Play that jingle.
Tom's teaser.
Right, as you know, with Tom's teaser, I do try and make it about maybe forthcoming matches or relevant to a game that we've played, but I want to get as far away from those things as possible. So here we're going to have a bit more of a cerebral punt, and it's going to be all about anagrams. So what
Oh,
I've
God.
got some player anagrams. I'm going to give you 5 of them, and I'm going to go with your names or your buzzers again. So as soon as you think you know the player, shout your name, have a go. Okay, ready? So if you're messaging someone a happy thought, you will send a vibe. Send a vibe.
Graham,
Yes.
Ramon Vega,
No. Mark, do you want to have a stab?
No.
Do you give up?
Yeah, give up.
Send a vibe is Ben Davis. Yeah. Don't be too excited, obviously.
I think this could be a low-scoring affair.
So no points there. Okay, number 2. If you want to swim in a pond of sushi, you will be in Raw Lake. I'll give you a clue this time. It's a goalkeeper. In Raw Lake.
Mark.
Go on, Mark.
Ian Walker.
Correct. Okay.
Oh, this segment gets more ridiculous every week.
Okay, I reckon you'll both get this one. Another name for a tobogganist. Ice Rider. Ice Rider.
oh, Graham,
Yes.
Ericsson.
You're frozen out, Mark.
Ah, dear. Don't know.
It's Eric Dyer.
Oh,
So I'm going to give you the position as well because
Yeah,
you guys
let's
are
do that.
floundering.
I can't do anagrams.
Okay, if you needed a microscopic tool for dispensing preserves, you'd have an iron jam feeder. An iron jam feeder, and it's a striker.
Mark.
Yes?
Jermaine Defoe?
Correct.
That's not who I was thinking of.
This is the last one. So, I mean, Mark, essentially, you've already won.
Let me
But-
see if I can get on the board. Let me
Yeah.
see if I can get on the board.
This is all for pride now, Graham. So, if your father plays a string instrument and also makes his own moonshine, you've got Viola Dad Gin. Viola Dad Gin.
Oh, well, I already know this one.
What position are they?
Winger.
Graham, Brennan Johnson,
Where is a J in Viola Dad Gin?
Gin.
Mark.
Gin. Mark.
David Ginola.
Well, that is an absolute spanking.
Morlin.
I can't, honestly, I can't do that. And
Clearly.
what made it even worse was the ridiculous subheadings because it was like they were a clue, but clearly not.
Clearly not a clue.
No.
No,
They're just the
but
ramblings of a
Yeah,
Viola
absolute
dad
craze.
chin.
hey, look, I never said Tom's teaser was going to be easy, but what it does mean
Or
is that,
sensible.
or sensible, or
It's going to
even
be.
that
Is it
understandable.
going to be maths next week?
Maybe, but here's some maths for you. Graham, you're on 5, but Mark has pulled into the league. It's now Graham 5, Mark 6.
Tom's teaser.
Right. So we have a massive week coming up. So it's time for our predictions to try and shine some positivity on the dark tunnel that lies ahead of us.
Do we need to have a think about the points accrued or not over the last 2 games, sadly?
So, this week just gone, we had Paris Saint-Germain away. Unsurprisingly, nobody predicted 5-3 as a scoreline. Graham and Tom both predicted a 3-0 defeat, so they get 1 point each for the result. I was in optimistic mood. I don't know what's happened to me the last couple of weeks, but I said it was going to be a draw, so no points there. But I did predict Kolo Muani as a goal scorer. So 1 point each for everybody there. And then Fulham at home, well, we all predicted wins, didn't we? So that went down the drain after 6 minutes.
Because
no
we
points.
didn't think we could ever be that bad.
Well, we were wrong. So, not much movement on the scoreboard at all. Graham has 11, I have 14, and Tom in the lead with 19 points.
That will do.
So, yeah, we've spoken about the huge week. We've got Newcastle away. Of course, we've already lost to them once this season at St James's Park in the Carabao Cup.
It was actually an all right performance, but again, we lost. So we're still celebrating the performance in losses rather than actually winning any games. But we were pretty reasonable up there at St James's Park in the Cup.
Well, how reasonable do you think we're going to be there on Tuesday?
I think we're getting beaten 3-1. I think honestly, I think.
Have you listened to nothing I've been saying? Positive green shoots coming through.
Because I just think as soon as we're under any sort of pressure, we'll fold at the moment because there isn't a togetherness at the club or a belief at the club. And I think at the end of the day, Newcastle is a horrible place to go when you're in trouble. And the goal scorer, I think Kolo Muani looks our most promising ray of light at the moment. So I'll stick him on the score sheet.
Right. Well, that was cheery. Tom?
Oh, well, wait for this. Because I worry that we won't even be more attacking. I worry that because of what's been going on, I think Frank might be tempted to revert to type. So I'm going to go 2-0 to Newcastle. I think Frank might return to the old double pivot and maybe look to snatch something on the break. But not hopeful. I hope I'm wrong.
All right. Well, clearly I've failed in persuading anybody that there's optimism to be had, but I am going to double down on it. At the end of the day, Newcastle are below us in the league, so they have had a very up and down season themselves. It could go anyway, let's be honest. I think both teams are famously inconsistent. So I am going to say that we're going to get a reaction. We're going to get a continuation of some more attacking tactics from Thomas Frank, and we're going to prevail 2-1. And I think the goal scorer is going to be Audebert.
Wow. I think that is seriously bold. And
I really hope you're right. I really hope that I just feel a little bit worried about what's going on, and it's really infecting my enthusiasm. But I really hope it all comes out of this and we're fantastic.
Well, if you're feeling bad about our supposedly better away form, how are you going to feel when we have to meet Brentford at home?
Yeah, it's a scary game, isn't it?
I think one way or another we will actually beat Brentford. I know it's completely at odds, but I just feel that it's either going to be a case of the players just take absolute ownership of just doing stuff to get over the line, or something clicks against Newcastle and there's a bit of momentum going into it. I'm hoping that a good 60-70% of the stadium will be overly positive to try and get behind the team from minute one and show that the players that actually we do support them and we do want to help try and drive results. And I think that might at least get us off to a better start. So I am going to say we're going to beat Brentford, and I think we're going to beat Brentford 2-0. And for no reason at all, I think Brennan Johnson is going to come back into the team and score.
If I'm sticking with my current trajectory of misery, I think if we lose against Newcastle, I can't see us making a better fist of it against Brentford. It's awful to say, but I feel like we could quite easily lose again at home, and I could see us losing 2-0. Brentford had a really good result. I know it was against Burnley, but they scored 3 goals. So I'm sorry to say that I could see us losing that one 2-0. And if that is the case, I do hope I'm wrong, but if that is the case, then the time might be to say thanks, Frank, but toodaloo.
I will say this up front. If Tom predicts the 2 results and Frank going, he does get a bonus point for predicting.
I don't want a bonus point for that.
You can have one for that, because I think that's a consistency in predictions that has led to another decent assumption.
If Tom is right, then yeah, it is hard to see how he keeps his job beyond that. But anyway, it's not going to happen, because off the back of a sterling away win against Newcastle, we are going to welcome Thomas Frank's former side. I do think it will be a struggle, because I do think our home form is a struggle at the moment, but I think we will get across the line. So I'm going to say a 1-0 win, and I think it's going to be Richarlison with the goal.
I'd take it. I would absolutely take it. Bite your hand off.
Well, let's hope so, because we're not here to...
yeah, I mean, when we started this pod, the idea was that we were going to have some fun talking about Tottenham. I mean, we did say at the start, wasn't it, that sport in Tottenham is sometimes like a roller coaster, and we needed a bit of a counselling session. But yeah, we've certainly been consoling each other quite a bit on these for the last few weeks. So it would be good to be getting some results that we can get enthusiastic about and start putting the fun back into our football team again, that's for sure.
Before we finish, guys, I just want to come out of my doom and gloom and throw some positivity out there. We're going through the darkness at the moment. Okay, it will come out the other side. However that looks like, hopefully it will be Thomas Frank, the squad and the fans all coming together, and we're all going to have a massive hug at the end of the season, parading another trophy, whether it's the FA Cup or the Champions League. But it might look different. But at the end of the day, things will change again. It's not going to be like this at home all the time. That's not the way football works. Things turn around, don't they?
Absolutely. Come on, let's make it a good week. Let's do this.
Go, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.